Hey, my name's Nathan, this is the Future Game Show, and I have a funny relationship with The Last of Us. I've never really seen it as the masterpiece that other people view it as. You know, I'd kind of hope that the game we hold up as a paragon of the medium would have slightly less strangulation mechanics. But look. There's a scene near the end where you have to press triangle at a giraffe, so it's actually an emotional masterpiece. But in saying that, I've played it about 3 times now. I've owned it for the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, and if the ghost of Christmas Future is to be believed, I'll be playing it on the PlayStation 8 the day I decide to change my ways and release the children from my minds. Get back to work down there! You're not free yet! I'm not afraid to say, it's a game that's made me cry, especially when I saw the price of the PS5 remaster. I think that Joel and Ellie are 2 of the most beautifully captured performances in video game history. But in terms of a game I'd give to an alien race to show them how good the video game art form can be, I'd probably still give them Ape Escape 2 first. So I hope that goes to demonstrate that I very much have no dog in the Last of Us race. But as an outsider, I'm fascinated by one specific debate the fan base are still having to this very day. A debate sure to return with the release of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered Hyper Turbo Hole-in-One Edition. The debate around the death of Joel. I'm fascinated by it because it kind of confuses me that people have a problem with it. You know, do people dislike it because they genuinely think it's bad storytelling? Yeah, initial trailers did try and pull the wool over our eyes by painting the story as Ellie on a revenge mission that Joel reluctantly joins her on. That illusion was then shattered by a server hack job that leaked a golfing scene more upsetting than when your gran bet you at Wii Sports.
Good birdie!
Not the ideal way for your player base to discover such a shocking plot point. But to me, anyway, it feels like maybe the only thing that could have happened, maybe even had to happen, because Joel and Ellie had made it through too many scrapes. Their luck had run out, and all that happened was the inevitable occurred. They experienced the same callous fate that they'd put about 6,000 random NPCs through. It's a fascinating example for video games too, which quite a lot of the time are power fantasies, where we get to be Spider-Man and save the day, or Leon S. Kennedy and rescue the president's daughter, or the Prince of Persia and perform acrobatics that we think we could probably pull off in real life but would ultimately result in us losing the ability to reproduce. But here, Joel loses all power. And not in a John Marston, Arthur Morgan, dying heroically 8 hours into the story kind of way. This is more of a dying pathetically 2 hours into a 200-hour story mode kind of thing. Which hurts to watch because we love Joel, but how many times have we made him do this to someone else? Fair's fair. And it's an interesting contrast too when compared to Naughty Dog's other very popular white, brown-haired mass murderer, Nathan Drake, who's never felt a negative emotion that lasted longer than it takes to boil a kettle. Now, I'm no psychologist, and I know that for sure as the Guinness Book of World Records most failed hostage negotiator for 7 years running now. But I'd like to take a guess at why certain folk hate this plot point so much, so viscerally. I think it's grief. I think they're experiencing grief. Because one of the things The Last of Us and Naughty Dog games in general do incredibly well is bonding you to their characters through hours and hours of gameplay, random chatter, solid writing. I always end up missing Naughty Dog's characters when I finished playing, especially so with Joel and Ellie. And I think when The Last of Us fans were looking forward to another rip-roaring emotional rollercoaster with the Batman and Robin of post-apocalyptic adventures, to have that ripped away from them in such a cruel, traumatic way, I genuinely think left a lot of players with proper emotional pain at the loss of a character they found themselves bonded to. And as much as I can genuinely sympathise with that, isn't it closer to actual life that sometimes things go wrong, that we lose people before we want to? Which then leads on to a bigger question. Should our storytellers only ever tell us tales that we enjoy? Should our games, films, books and art always be enjoyable experiences, even when life isn't? Should our main characters always prevail and avoid being golf club to death. Which ultimately leads to an even bigger question. Should stories be a pleasant, unrealistic distraction from the horrors of reality, or should they be dry runs for when the real thing happens to us? I don't know. I'm really not qualified enough to answer that question. And I kind of, if I'm honest, don't feel like that is an answer to that question. Every story's different. But I'm kind of obsessed with this debate because I don't like this scene. I find it hard to watch. It fills me with dread, and I can feel butterflies in my stomach every time I reach it. But I appreciate that it makes me feel genuine dread for a character and a world made entirely of pixels. It's really kind of a mad, amazing thing when you think about it, because no one shed actual tears over Lara Croft locking her butler in the freezer. Poor guy. And ultimately, I found myself appreciating Joel's death because it then pushed the story off on a trajectory that I wasn't expecting at all. I had a rare feeling while playing The Last of Us Part 2, and that was excitement. Excitement at how unpredictable it become, because if they were willing to kill Joel within the first 2 hours, what else could happen here? And look, I don't want this to be a love letter to The Last of Us, because it is certainly not the game I'd use to celebrate the medium. It might have strong story beats and good characters, but my actual moment-to-moment interaction as a player is just violence and death. And games can be so much better than that. I'd put Animal Crossing or Guitar Hero or Portal ahead of this any day. I'd maybe even argue that the TV show is the best way to experience this world over the games. All that good story and none of the hours and hours of headshots. But I tell you, this story is not over yet. You thought the discourse back in 2020 was bad? Oh, wait until it's Pedro Pascal, who audiences have to witness being brutally slaughtered. The internet's very own sexy daddy. The only way I can see Caitlin Dever avoiding all that hate is if they cast James Corden as the golf club. But anyway, that's us done. Thank you very much if you've got all the way to the end. My name's Nathan, and please do consider subscribing to the FGS channel. We've got a whole load of great videos on there, and honestly, I promise that none of them are existential discussions of death and art quite as much as this one, so you're very much safe.